So, with your IEMs you get a small leather pouch, which is intended to be a storage for your earphones, but it's not comfortable in the slightest. For the most part, because it doesn't have an easy lock. Looks and feels premium though. I would rather have a hard case. 12 tips of different sizes and thickness. The inclusion of these is nice, but at this price range they are just super basic and shallow. For me personally, they didn't reach very deep in my ear, and thus I almost couldn't hear bass. In the end I ended up with these spin fits, which I bought separately. They're a bit longer and fit my ears well. All the tests were done with these. A pin that is probably for shirts. It looks very cool. Might use it in the future. Let's start with the cable, I think. One of the best that I've seen on IEMs. It's a silver wire. Not super light, but not heavy either. It is flexible and doesn't have any falls out of the box. Thanks to Ikko for that. Recently I unboxed my Philips SHP 9500s and their cable was twisted and bent. It's been a week and it won't straighten. OH10's cable straightened almost instantly, and it was a joy using it. It gets tangled like every other IEM, but it doesn't hold a tangle up shape, so it's easy to untangle. On one end, the cable terminates in an angle half plastic, half metal 3.5mm jack, which has a good strain relief and is pretty gripping. It's easy to take out of the port. On the other end, I don't know how to call these heat shrinks. The things that hold the cable behind your ear, they have reasonable flexibility. Not too tight, not too loose. They go into metal 2-pin 0.78mm connectors, which are very easy to connect, and they feel high quality. I'm a big fan of this red indicator. It's both on here and on the shell as well. You will never forget that this is the right one and the other is left one. And finally, let's see the shells. Damn, they're gorgeous. So yeah, they are not your usual shells. They are made... These are metal. To be specific, a cavity is made out of copper. You would think that they are heavy because of all of this, and you are right, they're 32 grams. That's quite heavy for an IEM. You can feel that you are getting your money's worth when holding them because of how substantial they feel. I've seen people voicing their concerns about them being fingerprint magnets, and I disagree. You don't see that at all. This wavy design actually helps a lot. So let's go to the comfort. As I already mentioned, original ear tips didn't fit me well, so I used them with medium spin fits, which made Ikko OH10 fit me like a glove. I have average ears, so I think if your ears aren't super small or large, you'd find these comfy as well. Some might ask if the cable has that microphone effect, but I have to say that this problem is non-existent. There is absolutely no sound when you rub the wire against your clothes or just correct it with your fingers. Back in the day when I used the usual set of IEMs, these Beats Tour to be exact, I lost their original tips. I never understood why they are this uncomfortable and why they are falling out of my ears all the time, even if I'm sitting still. With OH10 or literally any IEMs which have this behind ear design, the problem is minimized. You sometimes have to correct them in your ears because they still tend to slide out of your ear canal a little bit, but it's not really a problem. It's the thing with every IEMs I've used. I wore them for hours and yeah, you can get tired of wearing them, but these are the most comfortable ones I have. I couldn't wear Beats Tour for such long periods of time. These are champions in this department for me right now. So let's talk objectively first. Starting with low frequencies, they're tastefully boosted. in my honest opinion. You can feel it almost instantly once you get a nice fit for them. It is powerful and smooth, not muddy or nasal as some IEMs sound. It's not sluggish, it feels fast and articulate. Mids are fantastic. Ikko didn't recess the mids too far, and that worked amazingly. You can clearly hear pretty much everything. Guitars, cellos, every instrument has a place in the mix. Mids don't stick out, but do not get lost, while not being shouty or anything. Vocals aren't lost in the mix, they are just right. Still very distinct, but not screaming in your face. High frequencies are sharp, but not too much, they tickle you just right. I haven't heard any sibilants in any well-mixed tracks. Cymbals aren't cutting you from inside, and bells don't shatter your eardrums. They can get a bit too much on higher volumes, especially off of low-quality sources, but I wouldn't recommend listening to music at such levels to anyone. The dynamic range they can produce is quite good for IEMs. The way they handle transients is pretty good, but unfortunately they're tiny and have little space to work with. Physics holding them down a bit, and of course headphones are better here, but that's another league. Now the subjective side of it. They have an exceptionally great music presentation, in my honest opinion. Very relaxed, not as exciting and pumped like some manufacturers tend to tune their IEMs, like KZ for example. Stereo imaging is fantastically accurate. I tested it with the music first and then went to games. Apex Legends has a high focus on directional audio, and man, I heard steps and faraway gunshots really well. Yes, they struggled a bit with transients, but I don't blame IEMs for that at all. Staging is great. Not endless, not huge, like with some over-ear open backs, but respectably big for such shells. It feels like a sphere around your head. Ikko OH10 Obsidian are definitely bassy, but I won't call them dark. There is plenty detail in these. I have only one IEM which is worthy of a comparison to these, so let's do that. These are KZ ZS10 Pros that I bought a year ago. Build-wise, it's not even a competition. Ikko is so much better, but ZS10s are around 35 bucks. Give them some slack. They have very similar tuning to OH10s, but still sound different. Bass is very similar, although there's definitely more of it in them. The most difference, however, is in mids and highs. Vocals on ZS10s are sticking out more than on OH10s. They are almost right in your face. There is a clear emphasis on the upper mid-range. Some might call shouty. The presentation is way less relaxed, the sound is exciting. It seems like KZ were tuning these with electronic music in mind. The instruments are less articulate and become almost indistinguishable in some heavily loaded tracks, like metal for example. But other than that, I think ZS10s are still great value. They are a tremendous step up from your usual $5 IEMs in terms of comfort, customizability and quality of sound. My family uses 3 pairs of these because I like them so much. Overall, I still highly recommend these. And summary. Ikko OH10 Obsidians are insanely well built, great looking, wonderfully sounding IEMs that I absolutely loved. I can safely recommend these to anyone who is searching for a good pair of earphones under $200. The performance of these is stellar. These are my end game for now, and yeah, this is my first ever proper review. I hope it was okay and not really boring. Thank you for watching, subscribe and all that. See you in the next video. Bye!